mom told me she was going out to buy something. I just nodded at her and continued my work. The following part will be from what my mom told me. My mom had pulled the car into the garage and was about to leave the house when she made eye contact with the teen. He made some kind of a creepy grin at her. My mom felt something was off. She pulled back into the garage and closed the gate. She came upstairs and told me to come with her because she didn't like the way the guy was standing in front of our house. I didn't want to get up and go anywhere, but my mom forced me to come with her. When we pulled out of the garage and we were in the street, my mom closed the gate. I turned my head and made contact with the guy. He looked really angry about something. As we drove away, I turned my head back to look at him again and saw he was turned towards us. He watched me and my mom drive away. He just stood there looking really angry until we were out of sight. Once we were gone, my mom told me how creepy he looked and she called the police to come to the house. Nothing ever came of this, and our house was never robbed. Now that I come to think of the memory, it's much creepier than I originally thought it was. If he was just checking on the house as a possible place to rob, then why did he look so angry when he saw me in the back seat of my mom's car? This incident happened in 2018. I was a 21-year-old female living near Delhi, India, where I stayed in a rented flat with 2 other friends of mine. The apartment complex was gated and it had a security guard. I was pursuing my master's at the time and I was also enrolled in a training program which I used to attend after my classes, so my weekday routine was pretty packed. From 8 a.m. until 4 p.m. I would then attend classes at the university. From 5:30 until 7 p.m. I would be at the training center. My friend and flatmate, who I'm going to refer to as Nikki, was also attending the program with me. On this particular day in late November, the sunset was definitely early. Also, the sky seemed a little cloudy. Me and Nikki stepped out of the training center and began a 10-minute walk towards the bus stop. We were running a little late that day due to an extra class. While walking to the bus stop, we had to walk through a small park and it was not only a shorter route, but we could also avoid the traffic. We stood there for a few minutes awaiting the bus, and by the time the bus arrived it was past 8. It was a 20 minutes ride to our stop on the highway to reach our apartment. From the stop we took a path with trees and overgrown bushes that connected the highway to a surface road which had an intersection. We needed to walk on this interesting road and then turn on our right to walk ahead until we reached the entry gate. The walk took us around 15 minutes. This was the shortest route. There weren't any houses on this particular road, just a school building with huge walls and a large compound. At night, the roads were usually deserted. We got off at our stop and walked past the bushes. We entered the intersection when suddenly it got dark and it seemed like there was a blackout. We walked ahead, relying on the moonlight to guide us. We were busy chatting about our class project that we had to submit in a few days. That's when we heard a humming sound from behind us. We turned around to see the figure of a man walking a little farther away from us. We couldn't make out much because it was dark. He was humming a song and he had a stick in one hand. He was swinging it back and forth. His walk did seem a little weird. It was like he was swaying his body. We weren't spooked, so we just laughed it off and walked ahead. A minute later, we realized the humming had turned into singing. He was singing at the top of his lungs and rhythmically tapping the stick on the ground. We turned around to find out that he had managed to walk closer to us. This still didn't send alarm bells ringing, but we did decide to increase our pace a little. That's when he started babbling loudly. He raised the stick over his shoulder and started matching our pace. It freaked us out. We held each other's hands and began jogging. We made the right turn into our street and we were hoping he would leave us alone. But when we looked over our shoulders, we saw that he was close behind us. Luckily, the power had been restored, but it didn't stop the man from following us. Jogging on